Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Hello and welcome to episode 266 of the AFTN podcast. I am co-chair of the Get Jason DeVos Back on RTV committee, Joe Deasy. I am joined by Nicholas Ruprecht. His final paper of his degree was about the temperature dependence of the quantum Hall effect.
Hello.
What can you tell us about the temperature dependence of the quantum Hall effect?
It takes a long time for that quantum effect to appear, and it takes
enough to write about it, at least.
Yeah.
Right? Well, very good. No Gideon this week. There's a big Gideon-shaped hole in our hearts.
Yeah.
And in my living room. We miss Gideon. It's been different already.
Yeah.
Like I was gonna say earlier that, Nick, we have these conversations all the time, but this is the first one that's being recorded.
I know, exactly.
So it's just, we gotta act natural, okay? Get the microphone out of your head. It's all gonna be fine. That being said, opening question this week, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
What team event would you plan to make the Whitecaps more consistent?
I went towards the kind of punishment route, I guess. I said paintball, and they can shoot the people who are making all the mistakes.
So you would line up the more error-prone players up against the wall.
Let them have.
Okay, that's not very merciful. I went down a similar route. I said, escape rooms. Like they're very popular, especially here in Richmond.
You need my work. We did an escape room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you my hope is that you figure out who are the people you can trust, who are the ones you can rely on, and who are just there to complain.
Yeah. Right? Well, it's like everybody has their talents, their specialty, and that's kind of how we didn't get out. We missed the one.
That says something.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't get out because we didn't have a person who could play music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the music was part of the last key. So if you don't have that specialized player,
I
play
think
music.
I think there's two aspects to this escape room for the Whitecaps. First of all, is what we're just saying, right? You can figure out who's the more consistent and who can you trust. The second one is it'll just be so funny to see Ali Ghazal and Kendall Waston just cooped up in a little room. It'll be like a cartoon or something. So that's part of my thinking.
Steampunk.
Yeah,
guy.
absolutely. And then these guys all have they're not, English isn't their first language, most of them, so they're just struggling to understand these word games. Okay, well that's our opening question. We'll go now to part 1 of 4 of our show. So we're going to keep the same format without Gideon. We're just trying not to.
We're going to do a one-man, do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Where I just sit in silence.
There's enough silence with 2 of you. But anyway. Okay, complete the sentences. Part 1. So let's complete this sentence. The Whitecaps' biggest questionable position, I guess I should have phrased it, most questionable position, is blank.
Is creativity.
Okay.
I don't think we necessarily have a problem in terms of, whether it's an AMC or a right winger or a left winger or a defensive mid, because all the players are pretty solid. I think the question is really who is there, who can consistently provide creativity.
Okay.
And I just don't see that on this team right now.
Okay. For me, I kept it more general. Midfield. There's a lot, I'm going to talk about it later, but there's a lot that needs to be worked out in terms of what do you want to be, right? Do you want to be a more defensive team like we saw last season, or a more attacking team like the fans want this season, right? Okay, yeah, this section is supposed to be short, so we'll talk about all this later in part 3 of our show. So, sentence number 2. Robbo needs to work on blank more.
Tactical flexibility.
Okay, so like a plan B.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to say, actually that was my answer. Why did I say that? Robbo needs to work on a plan B more. So I just sabotaged my own. Complete the sentence.
You don't even need Gideon here to sabotage you.
Okay, the next one is there's 2 possible answers. It's all something hill from here. So I'm looking for up or down.
Well, I went side hill.
Oh, you always find a way around.
Side hill.
I'm trying to get you to commit to something.
Well, side hill is a thing. You know, you can go side hill skiing.
Okay. Yeah, I don't ski, so that's probably why I didn't know that. I controversially went for downhill. But, you know.
Joe's a very negative person.
I am. I'm quite, sometimes. Like,
it's the Irishness.
It is. Like, it's hard to get, especially this season, if you get your hopes up with the Caps.
Yeah.
Like, it's a sad thing to say, and I wish I didn't have to say it, but that's just how it's been this season, you know? That great win against RSL, and then you go to a 10-man Minnesota team, and you lose 1-0.
Yeah.
But that's
Troll Ball Manager.
That's Troll Ball Manager. That's in the past. Here, we look into the future. We have multiple crystal balls. Herbal teas, or what's that kind of tea?
Reading the bones.
Yeah, reading the bones.
To cast bones.
Nick has so many bags of bones you wouldn't believe. Yeah, we're going to look at Houston. This is the second team that we've played already that we're going to play again. First game went pretty well. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But Houston so far, Nick, what do you think?
I think they had a very high potential coming into this. I think people expected them at this point in the season to probably be above the Caps. But I think...
Yeah, the Caps have played 2 more games than they have.
That's true.
So the Caps have 10 games and 13 points, which isn't great. There's only 3 teams in the whole conference, 4 teams in the whole conference that have lost as many games as the Caps. And Houston have played 8 games and have 11 points. So if Houston win this game, they will go ahead of the Caps on goal difference, because the Whitecaps have a goal difference of -8. Houston have a goal difference of +5.
But their away form has not been that good.
Yeah, that's true.
Their away,
and we beat them at home, which is confusing.
Yeah,
there's no trends to draw from this.
They were, I guess there's just not enough data points at this point in time, really. I mean, but away from home, I think people expected Houston to be a counter-attacking team.
Yeah.
Who do they have? Elias, you know, he can run you to death.
Yeah.
And
he is averaging 3.4 dribbles a game.
That's pretty good.
Which is nuts.
Yeah. And I mean, I think really Davies is only probably per 90 beating him.
Yeah, could be. But he's not their only threat. We'll talk about their multifaceted attack, which really, on paper, is quite scary. Like, I said this before, I was terrified the first time we played them. Now that I've seen that what they can do, I'm just as scared, right?
But I think they're having, in some ways, maybe I'm wrong because I haven't watched Houston religiously, but I feel like they're having a similar season to the Whitecaps.
I had the exact same thought. Just looking at their results. Yeah, so they lost to Minnesota 2 weeks ago as well, which, you know, we've seen what Minnesota are about.
Yeah, they fight hard, you know, though.
They beat Toronto FC B 5-1. Before that, they drew with San Jose. They lost
to San Jose is a very poor team this year, too.
Yeah. They lost to New England, who aren't doing great.
New England is doing quite decent, I think. I think they've had a renaissance.
I guess they're not just standing out too much. They tied with DC United before that, and then the game before that was when they lost to the Whitecaps. So yeah, like, since we played them last, they've only had, 2 or 3 good results. And that game was almost 2 months ago.
But I think I feel like they've had, and in many ways this team is also very similar to the Caps. I mean, last year they were very similar to the Caps. Defend deep, hit people on the counter.
But they have so much more in attack than the Caps do.
Yeah, that's true. And I think this year you can see that because, like, I was looking at their stats. I mean, this year, I think, what was it? 30% of their play has been in the opposition third. And then 45% has been in the middle third. Mm-hmm. So they're a little bit more attacking than last year's.
But they have switched to a 4-2-3-1. I don't remember what they were playing before.
I think they were playing 4-3-3.
Okay, but 4-2-3-1 will mean you get a bit more possession if you can dominate the midfield, which they can because of Darwin Surin.
Yeah, fantastic. What was it? 3.1 tackles per 90 and 2.3 interceptions per 90. Mm-hmm. So that is a defensive beast, and I think you have a stat about his ability to turn and use that tackling ability. What was it?
I do. Oh, he has 0.9 key passes a game.
Yeah.
For a defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
Is pretty nuts.
That shows you he's super key to their ability to win the ball back.
Let's jump into their midfield then. It's Eric Alexander usually, unless he's injured or something like that.
And he's actually been quite good.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And then it's Surin, as we said.
Yeah.
Albert Elis on the left or the right, they can interchange. Thomas Martinez down the middle, and on the right it was Andrew Wenger, but he's gone to fullback, which is interesting. We'll talk a little bit more. But it's is it Manotas who's playing?
Manotas is up front usually, and he's been.
Oh, it's Quioto. Yeah, Quioto on the left.
Quioto on the left, but Manotas has been having quietly a very good season.
Yeah,
he scored 4 goals.
Yeah. Just on the ratings that on WhoScored.com, they have Quioto as their best player so far this season. Elis is second, and then it's Marcus Beasley at left back. A timeless wonder, Marcus Beasley. I can remember watching him play for the States back before I moved to Canada. That was I hope that's actually correct, but he's just fantastic, isn't he?
Yeah, no, he never really puts a foot wrong, and he never really
really calm.
Yeah, he very rarely will you see him make a mental mistake, like step in
I think
when he doesn't need to or anything like that.
I think if you had to pick a team to game manage the last 10 minutes when you're up 1-0, I would have Beasley in there. He's a cool head in there and really good. In that back line too, though, they have Senderos.
Yeah.
Arsenal Hall of Famer Felipe Senderos.
But I don't know if he hasn't played. I don't feel like he's played that much.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I mean,
it's been Machado and Leonardo. Playing centrally. Yeah, Machado. I was looking at some. I can't remember the exact stat, but his aerial ability has really been helping Houston. Yeah, Wenger's gone to right back. Andrew Wenger.
Yeah, that is an interesting thing because
that's really surprising.
He was a fantastic forward offensive production for
DC.
Houston and for the last. Yeah. But when he was playing for Houston, he was also fantastic. Mm-hmm. Like he was making tons of assists and goals, and you wouldn't think of him as a threat man, but he was putting them in, and he kind of just ghosted into the box and did his thing. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that they dropped him to fullback.
It'll be interesting to see how he defends against the Caps' only route forward is
Davies.
I was going to say on the wings, but yeah, you're right. It's Davies. It'll just be interesting to see a lot of players as they grow older move back, right? Ryan Giggs moved from being a winger to a central midfielder, like that kind of a thing, right? And moving from winger to fullback is a very interesting development because, you have to get back and defend more, right? And
but then,
fullbacks have a lot of running to do.
Yeah, and I think because he wasn't necessarily like a brute force physical winger.
No, he was a clever
winger. Yeah. So I think that moving him to fullback, he can utilize that intelligence and he can utilize himself as a good outlet in the attack. Mm-hmm. He's played as a winger, sends in crosses. He knows and as a fullback, you also want your fullbacks to be able to pick their time to go forward to send in a cross, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's other players we haven't mentioned, but all these guys seem to just quietly go about their work. like we said, they're not overperforming or anything, but like they
I
have
know.
these key cogs.
I think they should be where they are. I think I saw an interest.
I think they should be above. Like I just look at these individuals
because I looked at what was it? They probably should be doing a little bit better.
I believe so. Like, they do have those 2 games. Like they're 2 games behind. And like just that strike power, we've talked about their attack, right? Elis is one of the best. Like if he's on form, he's one of the best players in the league.
Yeah,
Quioto's stats are speaking out, right? Yeah. Manotas, like you said, he had a really hot streak, and we saw him be really dangerous against the Whitecaps.
But he has good movement, and the fact that he can
and Martinez can pick that movement. Right?
Yeah, exactly. He has good movement, and he combines well with what they have on the wings, right? He's going to make the run that makes it easier to generate space out wide.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not sure how recent the switch to 4-2-3-1 was, but last week they beat LA Galaxy 3-2 at home. It was a very fun game.
Yeah, but I think that was
result.
That was a game that they needed to win if they wanted to start going in a positive direction, right? So
yeah, and they had a sellout crowd too. BVAA Stadium isn't usually full. In fact, I've seen it emptied more than full. But
I think it's because it's Houston in the middle of the day. You're going to be super hot.
That's a very good point. They got a 90th minute winner from Memo Rodriguez. Quioto got a goal before that, and Fuan Mayor, which is an amazing name, got the first goal for Houston. Fuan Mayor is a defender, center back. Yeah, him and Machado started that game. And it wasn't Chris Seitz in goal. It was Willis's. God, it's a weird name. So I think they should be doing better, to be honest.
Yeah, I think one stat that I saw that was really interesting, I think it was up on the MLSsoccer.com, was the goals for minus expected goals.
Okay, that's a good stat.
And it was, for them, it was minus 1.11. Yeah, they're scoring less goals than they're expecting to score. So they're generating chances, but they're just not putting them away.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Interesting. That's an interesting way to... expected goals is a fun stat. There's a little kind of, you have to...
There's a lot of leeway.
And you have to put quotations when you use because it doesn't fully translate to goals, right?
Yeah.
But that's a good way to present it, I think, because it shows this differential. Yeah.
Of well, what is it?
You can tell there's 2 people who have degrees in physics talking when differential just rolls off the tongue. Okay. So this game, they're away from home. You mentioned that away from home they haven't been great. But there's a lot of threats we have to worry about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Elis could beat 4 or 5 people and stick it in the top corner easily.
Oh, yeah.
He could do that. And closing down, they're very strong at that as well.
Yeah, they have a pretty good pressing.
But then again, there's a reason why they're not doing very well from away from home.
Yeah.
I personally don't think they're under the best coach.
You don't think so?
Wilmer Cabrera was voted the least popular coach. Remember we did that ESPN thing? He was voted the least popular coach. That has to come from somewhere. Because he's not like he's an angry guy or anything like that.
Well, maybe it's because he kind of has favorites. I mean...
Yeah, could be.
I think that, the main guys continuously play for that team.
But you want that.
Yes, you do.
But the players want that, and the fans want that too, right? Yeah. An unpopular thing sometimes is rotating players who don't necessarily need to be rotated, right? Yeah. As far as the Caps go, sometimes there was times that you wanted a player to be dropped.
Well, or times you want players to be put in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For example, I mean, I have been calling for having Davies on the field all the time.
But I think there's another element to that because you have to manage the minutes.
Yeah.
There is a reason for that kind of stuff.
I understand it, but
you need to win games. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, okay. Quick roundup of how you think Houston are going to set up for this game.
I think they're going to be more of their counter-attacking self. Mm-hmm. Because
I don't think that's good for... That's not their style, but
I think if I just watched that Minnesota game...
Yeah.
And I was like, well, they have no creative options coming forward. Well, I'm not going to be afraid to let them come forward because what are they going to do? Yeah.
I think they will be allowed to come forward, as we've seen so many times before. Mm-hmm. And that's what Carl Robinson will want to do. And I think Wilmer Cabrera will just allow that to happen. I still think Houston are probably going to get some form of a result, though.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a draw, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Score draw, or is that too much to hope for?
I think score draw. I think maybe 1-1 or something like that. If I was to put my neck out.
Okay.
And give it a number.
Okay. Good. Usually this is where we have. Do you know who I am? Two of us could play, but I would know the answer.
Yeah, and I wouldn't get it anyway.
And we did 2 last week.
Yeah.
And also discussed how Owen Hargreaves somehow played for the Calgary Foothills under 23.
That was amazing.
Yeah, that was a fun discussion.
He should come back to Canada, start in the Canadian Premier League.
Imagine if we saw him at the away end at the TSS Rovers games.
That'd be pretty amazing.
There's one Champions League winner in the stands. Or he's won it twice, so I guess. Anyway, we've had a barrage of questions from people. I've spread them out over the Caps discussion. Mm-hmm. There's a couple that we can discuss right now.
Okay.
And also we have that long-awaited World Cup jersey discussion.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
First of all, a man very close to your heart and mine, Dan Kame. Mm-hmm. He says, is it right to buy a Chrysler? Is that an inside joke that I'm missing?
I think it's a Simpsons reference.
Okay.
He's asking if it's right to buy a Chrysler. Well,
what is the answer?
I don't know. I guess it depends on what you're really looking for.
Okay. I know there is...
Is it right? I think the joke he's referencing is then we have to frame it as a moral question. Oh. Is it right to buy a Chrysler?
We have a few notable Simpsons fans who listen to the podcast, so hopefully you guys can address that in the in Twitter. There's a lot of other questions. I think most of them revolve around the Whitecaps, so we'll save that for part 3 of the show. Mm-hmm. There was Chris Cargan and Michael McCall are having a discussion as we speak about the transfer value of Alphonso Davies. And then Chris is very annoyed that I say that Davies should play on the right because it messes with one of his chants, which is fair enough.
Fair
really.
enough. It's hard to come up with songs. And he
true.
does a great job.
He does a fantastic job. Okay, World Cup jerseys. Nick, take it away.
Well, World Cup jerseys. Where do I start? Okay.
First of all, the jerseys you own are quite random and magnificent. So, Crystal Palace, right?
I have a Crystal Palace. I don't have the Crystal Palace. What is it? What year was it? But it's the black with the. I love.
A few years ago, the stripe,
slash stripe,
like Peru.
Fantastic, like Peru. I was going to bring that up. I love. Not just because I know some Peruvian people, but I do love Peru's home jersey. Yeah. Classic, timeless.
We had a mutual friend who wore it all the time.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah.
It's a really lovely jersey.
It's
very
a very
simple.
Nice jersey. Very simple, very beautiful, classic.
Let's rattle off your club ones so we can get to the country.
No. We don't have to rattle off. We'll be here forever.
Wolfsburg. What else you got?
Werder Bremen.
Yeah. Okay.
I like green. I do like green.
Yeah. World Cup then.
Okay. Yeah. So we started off with Peru. That's a classic one. One that I really like is the Serbia away jersey with the Slavic colors.
The current one?
I think it's the one that they're going to wear at the World Cup.
Okay.
It might be their current one, but the one that they unveiled for the World Cup.
Yeah.
It's got the Slavic colors, the red, dark blue, white, kind of running down the front. Yeah. Looks really nice.
That's cool.
And the Serbian crest is very distinctive. Yeah. I love it.
Do you remember there was an old Dutch kit that where the blue and the red or orange, I guess, were like mixed they were like
together. Yeah,
they were colliding on the jersey.
Yeah,
I remember Dirk Kuyt used to wear that one, and it looked really good. Yeah. Any other notable jerseys?
I think
obviously Ireland 2002 goes without saying.
I think Belgium's away jersey with the kind of gold yellow. Mm-hmm. I really like that. Very distinctive. It's kind of different from what Belgium usually wears. Yeah. But I like that. I like the yellow color. Not too many teams not try, do that yellow color. I mean, Australia does. Yeah. Speaking of Australia, I really love their away jersey. Dark green, lime accents, and that fantastic small diagonal slash. Looks really good.
We're slowly turning into a fashion podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Germany.
Okay.
They're going for a retro look.
This World Cup?
This World Cup, they're going back to the 91 retro look. Oh. Except instead of like the red, orange, or red, gold black color. It's just all black.
Okay.
It looks quite nice. I think it looks, very minimalist, very simple. And their away jersey, I'm a little bit biased. It looks great.
I think they're going to win the World Cup, let alone win the Fashion World Cup.
World Cup.
Any notable blunders? The one that comes to mind is Slovenia in the 2010 World Cup. They had a jersey that had, I guess they're a mountainous country, so they had, these peaks on the jersey. Yeah. And maybe it was because they played in probably the worst game I've ever seen, but I thought that jersey didn't look very good. Yeah.
I think Argentina away. The black, okay.
The
black and kind of blue one. I think that one's just trying too hard.
Okay.
They have a classic look. Why even try to deviate away from it?
Yeah.
What are you trying to do? And the other one that I kind of question is Nigeria's home jersey. It's kind of like a green with an orange color.
Okay, I'm nodding, but I have no idea what that looks like.
Nigeria? You can look it up, but I think it's it's bold, and I will give it credit for that, and they're trying something different, but I don't know if it will, work.
Okay.
But yeah, and then I think Japan, they have kind of like a Whitecaps raindrop look.
Okay. Their logo is weird, if I remember correctly. They have an eagle or something.
They have an eagle on it, yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about that one. Okay.
We should have a knockout, like a jersey World Cup jersey knockout.
Knockout round.
Yeah, we should totally do that.
Vote for which ones you prefer.
Again, I forgot who asked that question, but it led to a fruitful discussion on our part.
Oh, yeah. We love soccer fashion.
Absolutely. Earlier, my wife said... posed a moral question is, should all the players wear the same boots? Because, are we encouraging individualism too much?
Is your wife not like individualism?
I don't know. She just said it as we were walking back from the car, and I was like...
But that's a good question. It's a good question. I think it's fine for them to... I think the only thing that I don't like is when they're wearing two different colored boots.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who did that? Doing that for a while.
I knew people I played with who did that. It drove me bonkers.
Yeah, it's like...
It's too pretentious.
Yeah, it's a little over the top. Yeah. If you want to wear, gold-plated shoes...
That would be not allowed, because you can have metal cleats, but you can't have metal...
But, the gold colored kind of... and you want to...
We have another mutual friend who wore gold...
No names. No names will be mentioned.
But we will... I was almost going to say something. Nick and I will be at the Whitecaps game in a special capacity this Friday. Follow our Twitter for more on that. We'll let you know next week. It's kind of a black op right now. Okay, we have a lot more questions, but we'll answer those as we.
I think you're hyping people up too much. With that.
Okay, part 3. Mm-hmm. Whitecaps. Oh, there's no interstitial music this time, because Do You Know Who I Am didn't happen. Yeah. But we can just go straight into it, right?
Yeah, let's dive into it.
Question 1 for the Whitecaps, though. Nick, what's going on?
They can't control the game.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
Whether it is them getting red cards or whether it is them being up a man, they can't control the game. You either are getting so hot-headed you're getting a red card, or you have so little creativity going forward that you have no idea what to do.
I wonder how far it would go, though. Do you need 2 red cards for the Caps to be able to control the game, or 3 red cards?
I feel like maybe they should be aiming... that was the problem. I feel like... Well, there's a lot to unpack there. But there's a question of, is there too much rotation happening?
Yeah.
How much is rotation affecting the play of all the players? Maybe I'm making more of a big deal out of this.
That's one factor in a larger...
Yes, exactly. So I think what I'm trying to get at is it's not so much that there's one key thing, we do this, everything will be fixed. It's more, we need to sit down and have a serious think of what's the philosophy at this... I hate to use that word, maybe.
No, philosophy is a very apt word to use at this time, because the philosophy that the Whitecaps thought they had or were aiming to have is coming under intense scrutiny, right? Yeah, because it's not working. When you do anything, let alone think of a game plan for a professional soccer team, you have to think how feasible it is and how well it will work, right? Anything from going grocery shopping to planning a construction site.
Yeah.
You know, you need to there's Bible verses about being able to planning within your means, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a case of that falling short. Why that is happening is also a multifaceted kind of a thing as well. But like, what's going on is the Caps' identity isn't sticking or isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we rag
the identity that they had for the last 2-3 seasons.
Yeah, but we rag on the MLS all the time. You know, like we can find funny things every week to talk about. But one thing that the league does do quite well is the whole parity thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like teams are able to bounce back relatively quickly. You don't see teams.
Look at FC Dallas. I mean, last year they got knocked. They didn't get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And right now, at least, they're doing fantastically well.
Yeah, and like Kansas didn't make it super far in the playoffs this season. They look like one of the best teams in the league.
And then switch side of that, flip it around. Look at Toronto.
Yeah.
I mean,
but there's other reasons.
But then the thing is with Toronto, they may have dug themselves into too deep of a hole.
Yeah. I actually, when they lost, I think their second B team game, I thought, oh, that's like, I know they're not going to chase the President's or not President's Trophy. That's hockey. The Supporters Shield. There we go. I knew that they'd be in a bit of trouble, but they just have to make the playoffs. That's the other thing, right?
That's all they have to do.
We've had a question from Greg Petrie. Post game, which player gets trotted out to explain, "We've learned our lesson, and that effort won't happen again this time."
So who takes on Felipe's role?
Felipe. I think Waston before that. Kamara had something as well. Who is it this time? It's too early for Davies, right?
Too early for Davies.
Marinovic has a nice accent. Maybe they'll let him do the talking.
But he's a goalie. I mean, how accountable was he really on that goal?
Actually, I do have a article planned about looking at his shot stopping. I just want to dig into it because I feel like there's something there. But I don't know who's it going to be. Who's it going to be? Yeah.
I mean, I would maybe do Sean Franklin.
Yeah, but he can't take too much.
But he did not play well in that game.
Yeah, but he's only played 2 or 3 games, right?
Fair enough. But I mean, who was it on the other side? It was Levis on the other side, and he was fantastic.
Yeah.
So I mean,
he's up against one heck of a challenge this weekend in Albert Delis.
Yeah,
he's had a hard introduction to playing, like starting it for an MLS team.
But for the last 2 games, he's been fantastic. So.
No, I agree. Just to answer the question, I don't know. Waston's already done.
I'm going to go with Sean Franklin.
Franklin?
He didn't play, or maybe Gazelle.
Yeah, Gazelle. Mosquito. Everyone likes Mosquito. It's going to be someone likable. But what Greg's point is, it's getting tiring just having these people come out and say
words, basically.
Media trained.
It's words. Yeah. It's words. It's words without, I think
you have to give Caps fans credit enough that they can tell what's jargon and what's heartfelt. Right? Yeah. If you want heartfelt stuff, go to the player's Instagram. Yeah. Then you'll see heartfelt stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the kind of form we're in, what approach should we take just with squad selection? So we're talking rotation, wholesale changes. What's going on?
Yeah, I think the problem is the way the squad is built.
Okay.
In my opinion.
You mean transfer-wise? Or
like in terms of transfer-wise.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the window has closed, right?
Yeah.
So
opens again in July or something.
Yeah, exactly. So what I would be doing is looking at, how can we move in someone who can help us control the game a little bit better? Because I feel like I've seen enough. Maybe I'm judging a little too harshly now.
No, I agree with that, but which position specifically?
I really don't care, as long as it's somebody who can help us. I mean, my personal preference would be someone in an AMC kind of role.
Okay, who's played for Everton and Man United.
But someone who can give us an idea, and I think Reyna did a really good job when he came on. But I think he came on maybe... the problem was, look at the game in Minnesota. We were having Minnesota at that point in time was playing 5 at the back. How many people did we have in the box?
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
3? Come on. Okay, Kai Kamara maybe counts as 1.5 people. But, we only had... And then we send in 37 crosses in the whole game. Well, what kind of... That's not ideas. That's basically you had a game plan, and you stuck very rigidly, if I was to borrow...
Charge of the Light Brigade kind of style.
Yeah, like, it's so rigid that when they don't have that open... When they're not able to do counterattacking on the wings, and they don't have that space to run in... We don't have that space to run into on the wings, we have no idea what to do. Mm-hmm. As a team, the Whitecaps have no idea what to do. They looked totally aimless. Reyna came on, and he made the best chance, basically... was ringing one off the post or crossbar. Really, he got unlucky at that. Yeah. But he was at least trying something different. He was combining with the wingers, trying to drag it inward, maybe trying to do like some short 1-2s. I don't know. But that's what I'm feeling that they need.
So who are you pointing the finger at?
I'm pointing the finger more at the acquisition of players in the offseason.
And that falls to... we don't really know who that falls to.
Yeah, we already know who that falls to.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, that's where I point the finger. The problem isn't necessarily the individual players. I feel like it's a structural problem with how the squad was built.
Yeah.
Is they didn't have that player who can be creative and provide that creative spark. Maybe Reyna can provide that creative spark.
He's not in the right place to make any of that happen right now.
Yeah, fair enough. But, like, he almost did.
But then Felipe is the kind of player that you think would be able to do that well, you know? Like, and then that's not happening either. I think that number 10, just to answer the 2 questions ago, that number 10 position is what we're really, really missing, right?
Yeah, like, in a sense, that's what I feel like right now we're missing. Yeah. Like, either maybe someone as a number 10 to play as a second forward off Kamara, or something like that. Someone who can also, or someone as a playmaker kind of style.
What do you think is more likely? We acquire a player like that, or we change our go-to formation
to something else,
like a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3 or something?
Okay, I think it's more likely that they go and get a player in the transfer window
to fit
what's happening right now.
Okay,
because I would not. The only way I can see them changing wholesale their formation and saying, let's try this, is if the whole barn gets burned down, as it were.
We still have 3-5-2 to go back to if we need
Shut up. That's a terrible idea.
No, absolutely. Okay, we have more questions because we really got lots of great questions from everyone. Jason, which is great. Is it Jason? He has 2 questions, and they're worded quite similarly. So, question number 1, do you think the Caps fans are obsessed with the idea of signing a big-name DP? Obsessed is too strong a word.
I would say, like...
Fans are excited by transfers. It's the same any team.
Yeah.
But I think there is expectation.
Think maybe because we're Vancouver, and maybe I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but, you know, sometimes in Vancouver sports, we have a kind of, what do I want to say, attitude?
Entitlement?
Not an entitlement, but we feel like we're kind of left out.
Yeah.
In a sense, because we are kind of like, we're in the corner of the Pacific Northwest.
Far away from other teams. When you go abroad and you say you're from Vancouver, do most people really know where that's from? When I was told I was moving to Vancouver, I had no idea where it was. So it's an example.
So there you go. You know,
I was 16.
But this is the point, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we can't be like New York or LA.
Yeah.
You know,
that's something that's quite interesting. You hear, like, if you follow British media, you like when a player says they're going to the States, they always say that they're going to New York or LA, right? They choose those countries or those towns, right? How many people, without coming to Vancouver and realizing how nice it actually is, would come to Vancouver, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like Jordan Much is an example of someone who came here, saw how nice it was, and wanted to come back, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's interesting. Okay, Jason's second question. Do you think Whitecaps fans care more about how much money the team spends rather than results? I don't think so. I think when the results are bad, they care. They use the money card as a big thing. Yeah. But we've seen teams succeed in this league without using money.
Yeah, exactly. It's MLS. You should really be arguing all the teams are essentially having the same amount of money.
But then you see Atlanta spending like 8 figures on players,
but essentially, you could make an argument at least that the variability between the teams spending money is not huge, right? Mm-hmm. So like there is some, and you can see it in the results, right?
Yeah. Nice guy Austin, who I believe gave us the World Cup jersey question. He asked, Robbo out, or Robbo out? I'm not on the Robert train yet.
Here's the thing. I think you can... Well, if you kick him out, who are you going to replace?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Honestly, who are you going to be able to entice?
If there was a great person lined up,
yeah,
then it would be good.
It's a question of who are you going to bring in to replace him. If you're going to kick him out, and let's be honest, I think he's been doing a fantastic job with what he has had. And yes, we should be demanding results. And maybe it's just that his tactics are growing stale over, however many 2-3 years, right? That we've been implementing this kind of system. Mm-hmm. And other teams have basically been like, well, this is how you figure it out. Yeah. You go down a man and let the Whitecaps attack.
You can afford one red card.
You're going to get a red card.
Just a word of warning on that. Firing your coach doesn't mean results get better.
No, exactly.
In the Premier League, all 3 teams who are in the relegation zone have either fired their coach
Stoke. Look
recently.
What happened with Stoke.
And Stoke is probably the best example. And West Brom too.
West Brom, hopefully they can escape.
Today they got relegated.
Yeah. Today? I know. Oh, no. What am I going to do with my West Brom jersey?
And
Nobody will know.
I have one too. That's a sad moment for the old View from 202 crew.
Yeah.
Because we unanimously support West Bromwich Albion. But
for many reasons.
Both of those teams fired long-term, or not long-term coaches, but actually they were both Tony Pulis, funny enough.
Yeah.
Stoke haven't been the same since Tony Pulis, and West Brom haven't been the same since Tony Pulis. And that was only this season, right?
Tony Pulis wanted to come to Whitecaps. What did you think of that?
I'd love it.
Yeah, I'd love it too, man. I'd be
honestly, it's ugly, but
it works.
It really works. Although, actually, I need more time to think about that.
I need more
because I don't know if I'm ready to see that many long balls. Yeah.
Hey, if we can get a good striker, if we could.
Peter Crouch.
That
would be a great
Peter
sign.
Crouch would be fun. He'd almost he's taller than me.
True. What parts of the field do we want to see change tactically?
Like I said, we need some sort of creator.
So you're talking about getting the ball away from the wide positions, more central?
Yeah, well, either somebody who can get the ball, but this is what I feel like has really been missing, is somebody who can combine with the wings, drift. How many of our AMCs have we had recently that have been able to go with the wingers?
Well, dangerous at the top of the box, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So they can receive the ball, and you were worried about them shooting. Mm-hmm. You're worried about them putting it through to someone.
Because how can you defend that, right? You basically have to choose your poison at that point.
And
right?
if you know the other team can't do that, you just funnel them out wide, and
then you just let them send in 37 crosses.
Yeah, I think we're onto something. But okay, attacking, what should our approach be?
Yeah. So going forward, I would love to keep the counter-attacking thing going.
Yeah.
Because we have fantastic wingers. That makes the best use of Davies. But give him that support, that someone in the middle that he could combine with. Mm. So he doesn't always have to go out wide.
Is that Reyna? Or
I really would like to see Reyna. I think Reyna can do it. Because look what he was doing in Minnesota. I'm not saying he changed the game. I'm not saying he won the Whitecaps the game. But he at least was one of the few people going forward, I felt.
But Reyna versus Seren.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult battle.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, who else are you going to
put in that? Felipe hasn't been doing that job, so might as well put Reyna there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean...
Is Davies playing too much is the next thing we're going to talk about.
Is Davies playing too much?
Yeah.
I would say no, because I'm totally on the Davies hype train, and I would just ride that into the ground. But then you will counter with, why would you ride this young kid into the ground?
Well, okay, there's quite a cynical approach to this. Mm-hmm. Okay. Davies won't be at this team for long, correct?
I don't know.
Okay. Davies won't be here in 2 or 3 years. Right?
I could see that.
I don't think he'll be here next year, to be honest. This season could be the last we see of him. Which is good for him, right? Let's be realistic.
Bad for the Whitecaps.
It sucks for us. It really sucks for us because he's been so much fun to watch. And watching him grow, too. From last season just being more of a flair player to this season actually the end product developing, right? That such tangible growth that you see. First time we've seen that really, because Russell Tybert stalled a little bit, and then our some draft picks, I guess Tim Parker grew a little bit, but Davies is a different category of player, right? The cynical thing is that we won't have him for long, so why don't we just play him all the time anyway, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not what Carl Robinson. That's not his response. Yeah, which there's some level of honor in that, because you're giving him certain minutes, making sure he learns from those minutes.
Yeah.
And not just, giving him way too much too quick, right?
Yeah.
So what I want and what Robbo was going to do is completely different, and that's fine. That's the way it should be. Mm-hmm. We're the media. He's the manager. We react, and he does
his thing.
Yeah, he does his thing. So I have no beef with any of that. It's just that I have a desire to want him to play, because he's the only player who seems to be able to do anything.
He's the most dangerous player when he's on the field.
Yeah, easily.
For the Whitecaps.
Like, maybe Kamara, but he's not in fun form right now. And maybe coming back from injury.
Well, he's coming back from injury, right?
All right, 2 more questions. Mm-hmm. So, actually, 1 more, because we answered Dan's 2 questions earlier. Mm-hmm. A question from Matt Johnson. He knows that I really want Davies to play on the right. But what if we put Davies in the middle and Reyna on the left? And they can switch back and forth. And he says, I believe Reyna has some success playing on the left last season. Thoughts?
I would like that. Listen, if the season ends up tanking, try it out. Because I don't think necessarily that would solve our problem, though.
Yeah.
Because
the Davies in the middle thing I'm okay with. I'm okay with trying it, but I still think he's more effective
on the wing.
On the wing.
Because I think on the wing, he has more space to run at defenders. And if he's central, the problem is he could be easily marked. Yeah. He's going to run into a defensive midfielder right away.
He doesn't have the experience to get out of the traps that they can put for him in the defensive midfield. It's worth the shot. Like, if you're 2-0 down, do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But Reyna played on the right earlier in the season, and that didn't really work at all. But Davies in the middle, I think the problem is...
Like I said, it's more like one of those, this game is clearly done.
The problem is we have options in the attacking midfield. We don't have good options in the attacking midfield.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's the most pressing thing that will be addressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question though, Matt.
It's something to think about, but I would like to try it when we're in more of a safe position.
When you're playing a 4-2-3-1, the 3 are so fluid anyway, right? The caps switch on
all the time.
All the time. Well, they switch on numbers divisible by 15.
Yeah.
So it's half hour or 50 minutes. They do a switch to, And
it's usually the wingers that are switching. It's usually very rarely that the central midfielder is switching with a winger. But the fact is, Reyna, was it by his own? Is more comfortable on the wing? I don't know. Or is he more comfortable?
He's more comfortable down the middle.
Yeah,
he played right wing and he was terrible that one game. It was at home, I think, too. Might have been away. I can't remember. Okay, up front, Kamara or Blundell?
I thought Blundell has been very good.
Yeah.
These past few, and I like the long ball over the top that I think
that could be there. That RSL through the lofted through ball could be there.
And that's and he's not there was probably a game plan, and that was probably why he got taken off. Because it looked like he was running hard. Yeah. He was putting all he could into it. So, and I don't think you can really fault Blundell for what happened in Minnesota at all.
No. But if you had to pick one to start in the 4-2-3-1?
I'm going to go with Blundell this time.
Are you confident that we'll see changes?
Confident that I will see changes? I think it needs to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, I still think that, like I said at the start in the part 1, it's still going downhill right now.
In my experience, that's just this is just a life thing in general.
Listen up, kids.
Listen up, kids. Life thing in general is usually when it hits rock bottom, that's when changes happen.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Whitecaps are really at rock bottom.
In the MLS, it takes a while to get to rock bottom, too.
I feel like right now, the Whitecaps are kind of on the edge. If they get a run of good form, if suddenly their counterattack starts clicking, they could be a playoff team. if this counterattack keeps on
stalling,
they're going to be below the playoff. And line. That's pretty much how I see it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go over our lineups. See if we can agree on stuff. Marinovic in goal.
Yep.
Yeah. No, really. I want to look into that more. I have a suspicion. Left back, Levis.
I like Levis.
Oh, actually, we have to address this. He says Levi's.
Who does?
Brett Levi's.
Okay, then he's Levi's.
Yeah.
Whatever. You call the man whatever he wants to be called.
It's true. I'm not Joe Daisy.
You are Joe Daisy. Okay.
I'm Joe Daisy. Okay. Central, Waston and Aha.
Yeah, I think Waston and Aha played quite well in that game in Minnesota. I think
Franklin or Nowinski at right back.
I'd say Nowinski.
Okay.
I didn't like the game that Franklin had. Maybe I'm just...
Yeah, and Nowinski hasn't played it a lot recently.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 defensive mids. Tybert, I think, has to be in there.
I hope so.
And Gazal.
Yeah.
Left wing.
I think, again, I would put Davies to start.
Okay, I'm going to go Teixeira.
I wouldn't be surprised if Teixeira starts.
Yeah.
Let's go with Teixeira. And then Davies at 60th minute or something.
Yeah, or right wing. Just saying.
Stop it.
Just saying, Robbo. Hey, it's been good when he's been there.
I'd like to see maybe Breck Shea start there.
Yeah. There's 3 that could go into 2 spots there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see.
Yeah. Ibini didn't really have that great of a game.
No.
He was not involved in the play a lot at all, which is and I don't want to throw him under the bus or anything, but it just
he needs a few more chances before we can have a full evaluation in a sense. In the middle, I would go Felipe. I could see Juarez there though, or not Juarez. Reyna.
I would prefer Reyna there.
Okay.
Honestly, because I think if you had Reyna and Blondell, I think that their link-up play will be very good.
And Blondell up front for you?
Yeah.
I'll go Kamar, just to be different. Just to be different. But, if we are going to do almost 40 crosses, I might as well have Kamar in there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? If we're going to do 40 crosses, you might as well put Kamar in there. But that's we've had what I thought first was a haiku from Chris, but it actually is a statement and a question. Okay.
I don't know what to say, Joe. The intro to the show is so good about not being able to predict the future and all. That's our intro music. But I just can't see us being unpredictable. I can't think of a question. Wait, I know. How do you think the Rovers will do on Monday? The TSS Rovers open their season on Monday.
United?
I think it's Lane United, yeah.
You know what? I'm going to go with... I think it'll be a win for them. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to come out and, the opening season party was good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think they're going to carry that. They're going to carry that momentum forward.
It'll be all smiles on Monday night too. That's my prediction.
Okay.
I think it should be a good game. It's hard to predict the USL PDL scores, but let's
say 2-0.
Let's go 2-0. We don't even predict the Whitecaps scores, but we're doing the TSS Rover scores. Really, if you have a chance to make it out to that game next Monday night at Swangard Stadium, please do. Information is at tssrovers.com. AFTN are media partners of TSS Rovers. Michael and Gideon will be doing the commentary. I do the stats that I provide to the league and also to the commentators as the game goes on. Great atmosphere, Parallel 49 beer, Swan Guardians, grassroots Canadian professional soccer. What else could you ask for? Mm-hmm. And on a Monday too. That's a pick-me-up.
Community.
Yeah, absolutely. Technically Burnaby, because it's on that side of Boundary Road. Okay, last part of our show, part 4, prediction game.
How did we do on the predictions, Joe?
Not one of us got anything right.
I think that's the first time that's happened.
Yeah, that is the first time it happened.
Well,
I could go through all of them, but they're just so
depressing.
Yeah, let's not. Nick said one Whitecaps red card, which could have happened.
Oh, why didn't I just say one red card?
Yeah. Oh. I said Davies goal, Felipe yellow, which I really thought would happen, but no yellow for Felipe. Gideon had Davies assist and possession. Yeah, it wasn't good. Gideon.
As soon as they got the red card, I knew my possession stat was I was like, no.
Gideon has sent in his prediction.
Excellent.
It came
in the
by
mail?
Tinkerbell, actually, because he's in Disneyland, so he sent it over. He said the Whitecaps will hold 60 to 65% of possession. Is he expecting like a red card in the second minute or something? That's the only way
that's
the Caps.
a bold prediction.
Yeah. Kamara starts and scores.
Okay.
And yellow card to Beasley.
Ooh.
Interesting. What do you have, Nick?
Okay, I have Houston, team stat for Houston. Houston will have 16 dribbles during the game.
16 dribbles. Okay.
Yeah. Marinovic will have 2 claims. We've been neglecting goalkeeping.
The claims. But claims are so... They're a lot less frequent than I thought they were. When I look at the stats for goalies...
Yeah, but I think, Houston will send in a fair bit of crosses.
Oh, that's the other thing. Elis has like 3.6 aerial dual wins a game.
Oof.
For a winger. Some defenders have like 2.2. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's pretty crazy.
Okay, one more prediction.
And then Davies, I think, will have 8 dribbles.
8 dribbles?
Yeah. I'm pumping...
Goodness me. We haven't talked about the tactical... The Whitecaps' tactical shape isn't symmetrical because they want a channel for Davies to run into. We should get into that sometime.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, it's more visual though, so it's hard to discuss on a podcast. Okay, so those are your 3 predictions. I'm going to go for Levi's assist.
Ooh.
I'm going to go for that old chestnut Waston yellow card.
So at least one of us gets on the board.
Yeah. And a goal for... Quioto. Yeah, a goal for Quioto. I kept it quite general. Mm-hmm. Very good. Nick, where can people find you online?
Space Age Robot 56.
Good. You can find Gideon at _Gideon Hill, even though he isn't here. You can find me at Joe DC Van. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for all your questions. Your questions really make the show a bit more fun. It gives us a bit of a direction to see what everyone wants to talk about. So I usually send out a request for questions around a day before we record if I remember to do that. Please get in touch. Thanks so much to everyone who got in touch. Questions today were really, really great. Enjoy the game on Friday night. It's going to be a fun one. Mm-hmm. Another Friday night game, which we haven't complained about this time.
Yeah.
And we'll probably have some stories to tell next week about our experience
at the game
and beyond the game. Well, thank you very much for listening to episode 266 of the AFTN podcast. Enjoy the game.
One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
But